Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of my podcast, Soul Talk and Psychic Advice. Today, we're talking about something that I believe has the power to completely change how we experience grief. I've done a few different talks about grief, but this one is even different. There's always this ever growing, ever expansion way for me to explain how to deal with grief. Not because it makes grief disappear, because it won't, but it could become manageable over time. That's one thing I've learned. And not because it gives us a shortcut around pain, but because it teaches us how to be with grief instead of constantly fighting it. And I think a lot of people fight it because we really don't have enough structure in society how to deal with grief, how to deal with death. It seems like people are always avoiding those topics and hoping that they never have to experience it. But honestly, all of us are going to lose at least five important people in our life. That's just how it is if you live long enough. So it's something that has to be addressed. And, as a grief coach, some people are so frustrated when they first start grieving, like it's never going to get better. And that's a common way to feel. But I tell people that I coach, if you're here, we do it one step at a time. But you've got to believe at some point you're going to be okay. Because you have to have the belief along with everything that's going on. And you can't see it when it first happens. I know I didn't see it. But I tell them you gotta believe that at some point you're gonna be okay and you deserve to be okay. That point may come years later, but I do believe that everybody can somehow survive grief and be okay and still live a fulfilled life. I think my life is a testimony to that. I have known plenty of people to do that. We've known some famous people to do that. We know people who have done it. And you must find that true to be true for yourself at some point. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not this year, but it will happen. It will happen in its own timing. So I like to provide understanding and exercises and, somatic work and nervous system regulation to show people because everything goes through our body, not just our mind. And so today's topic is grief and embodiment. I moved everything to embodiment because I realized no matter what I do, that's what it's about for me. So if you've been following me for a while, you probably heard me talk about embodiment, nervous system regulation, and learning to listen to your body. But what does any of that have to do with grief? Actually, everything. Most people are taught to think about grief psychologically. We're encouraged to understand it, analyze it, talk about it, or distract ourselves from it. Especially the latter. A lot of people just say keep busy. I don't believe in the keep busy philosophy. I believe in facing it slowly, gradually. Very few people are taught that grief is also a physical experience. Your body grieves. Your nervous system grieves. Your muscles grieve. Your breath changes. Your energy changes. Your heart changes. Your brain changes. When we ignore the body, grief often becomes something we carry rather than something we move through. Today, I'd like to explore how embodiment offers another way. Not a faster way, not an easier way, but a gentle, more compassionate way. Grief lives in the body. When someone experiences a significant loss, the nervous system immediately recognizes that something important has changed. Whether you've lost a spouse, a child, a parent, a friend, a beloved pet, or even a relationship, your body experiences that loss before your mind can fully comprehend it. You might notice your chest feels heavy. Your breathing becomes shallow. You have a lump in your throat. Your stomach hurts. You feel exhausted. Your shoulders tighten. You can't sleep. Or maybe you sleep all day. Some people experience headaches out of nowhere, probably never had them, and now they're having them. Others lose their appetite. Some overeat. Some feel restless. Others feel completely numb. None of these responses means that you're grieving incorrectly, because there's no correct way to grieve. You do it however you do it. They are your body's ways of responding to profound change. The nervous system is asking one question: am I safe? Loss shakes our sense of safety. Even when the death was expected, even when someone lived a long life, even when suffering has ended, our nervous system it still experiences disruption. So our nervous system still experiences disruption even after the suffering has ended. This is why grief is never just emotional. It's biological, it's neurological, it's physical, and it is deeply embodied. That it is. Many of us that we learned this very early, that emotions were uncomfortable. Maybe you heard stop crying, be strong, don't fall apart. You have to keep going. Maybe people around you couldn't tolerate their own emotions, so they unknowingly taught you to disconnect from yours. As adults, we become incredibly skilled at avoiding grief. We stay busy. We overwork. We scroll social media. We binge watch television, which is so easy to do now with so many channels and series to watch. We numb ourselves with food. We overexercise. We take care of everyone else. We become productive. None of these things are inherently wrong. They're not. The problem begins when they become ways of avoiding what our body is asking us to feel. If only society was getting more into that. We're starting to talk more about feeling, but we're not really showing it. We're just saying do it, but we have to talk more about how to do it. The body keeps the score. Read that book. What isn't processed doesn't simply disappear. Sometimes it becomes chronic tension, sometimes anxiety, sometimes panic, sometimes burnout, sometimes illness, sometimes emotional numbness. The body keeps asking us to return, not to punish us, but because healing requires presence. Healing requires presence. What is embodiment? Embodiment simply means living in relationship with your body instead of living only in your thoughts. It means becoming curious instead of asking, how do I stop grieving? Because it is painful. Sometimes you just want it to stop. You begin asking, what is happening inside me right now? Maybe your chest feels tight. Maybe your throat feels constricted. Maybe your stomach feels empty. Instead of immediately distracting yourself, you simply notice how you breathe, what you allow, and what you witness. One of the most beautiful things about embodiment is that it teaches us that sensations change. Nothing remains exactly the same forever. Tightness softens, pressure shifts, warmth moves, tears come, tears stop. The body naturally knows how to process emotion when we stop interrupting it, which we do so often, even unconsciously, we just do. That doesn't mean grief disappears. You can always grieve and have that person in your heart. They're a part of your life. They meant something to you. It means grief flows instead of becoming trapped. And that's what we need it. We need it to move. We need it to flow. Nervous system regulation during grief. Yes, yes. And it's so important, nervous system regulation during grief. I want to make something very clear. Regulating your nervous system is not about making yourself stop grieving. Too many people, when I post stuff about somatic exercise for grief or, different things, people are like, you're trying to say it's going to go away and it's not going to go away. And I said, where did I say that? Where in any of this did I say that? Sometimes we're grieving so much we can't see clearly. And that's what I like about embodiment is that we start to be able to see past the fog of grief. And a lot of times people are so stuck in their grief that they think that there's no way out of this hell. And I'm saying there is a way out of this feeling. And yes, it feels like hell sometimes when you're grieving. I felt like I was trapped in hell at times. And you can be like, why is this happening? Why do I deserve this? It took me almost a year to really accept that my son was gone. And I've lost parents, I've lost friends, but my son was the big one. And what I would say to anyone out there who's grieving and you just think there's no way out, no way out. One day at a time, one moment at a time, 1 hour at a time, 1 minute at a time. Take it slow. You need to take it slow instead of trying to see big pictures. But when you see, and there's a lot more people getting into grief coaching, thank goodness, that people are posting, things to help you with grief. Ask yourself, say, why do I just think there's no way out? Maybe this person knows something that can help me, whether it's me or somebody else. Maybe just try. I had to try anything and everything. I was already spending a lot of money on, you know, different training. I spent several thousands more trying to get better and trying to figure out what could work. And yes, it led to part of a bankruptcy as I went into major debt. But now we're making things easier, more affordable. We're figuring it out for you and hoping that you give some of this a try. There's a lot of free stuff out there, and no, not everything can be free, but there's a lot out there. And this is a very important topic to me because I've I'm writing it, right? I've been through it. I'm going through it. I always be going through it. It was 18 years after my son passed. And so it's and I'm a fixer. So you put all of that together, and I'm trying to save the world from grief. I'm trying to say you don't have to suffer. And it's very emotional, even doing this podcast, because it's the worst type of suffering, if you ask me. And I know we're going to lose people. We have no control over that. The one thing that we like to control, we can't. But there is a way. And you have to decide, at one point through the grief, can you rise above? Some people can't. But my mission in life with all this embodiment is to give people a better life because I know what hell looks like. Hell on earth is tough when you're in pain, when you're grieving, when things are going wrong. And I'm a fixer. I can't help it. That's my own stuff, right? But at least I want to do something good with it. So let's continue. Some people hear the words nervous system regulation and say, so I'm supposed to calm myself down. That is what social media sees it as. And eventually you do get there. I think sometimes I look stoned to people when I'm doing videos, or I look too calm because I do so much nervous system regulation exercises throughout the day with clients and myself. And it's not exactly what it's about. Regulation isn't the absence of emotion. Even though I'm looking calm, I'm still feeling everything. It's the ability to stay connected to yourself while emotions move through you. Imagine waves in the ocean. You don't stop the waves, you strengthen the boat. That's what regulation does. It increases your capacity. So nervous system regulation increases your capacity. When your nervous system feels safer, grief can move. You cry. You can let it out. You can breathe. You can remember. You can laugh. You can miss them. You can smile at a memory. You can cry again. And this is all healthy. This is grief moving. Some simple embodiment practices include taking longer exhales. Just when you breathe in, take a longer exhale. Feeling both feet on the floor. Placing a hand over your heart and even one over your abdomen and just breathing, just feeling your body move. EFT tapping, love it, love it. I do it every day. Walking slowly outside, everybody's doing brisk walking trying to burn calories. Take a slow walk. Gradually, slowly walking. Gentle stretching. Rocking the body. We were rocked as babies because it was comforting. Rock yourself. Humming. That's for the vagus nerve. These aren't techniques to fix grief. They're invitations that tell the nervous system you don't have to carry this alone. That's really what it's about. And you know what? You don't have to move on. People will say this stuff. You don't have to move on, but you just have to move forward one step at a time. One of the phrases many grieving people struggle with is, you need to move on. And I wish people would stop saying this, but society's still evolving, right? So you're going to hear crazy stuff when you lose someone, and it could just be very irritating. I don't believe healing asks us to move on. I believe healing asks us to move forward while carrying love differently. Embodiment allows us to integrate grief instead of abandoning it. Eventually, your loved one becomes woven into your life rather than existing only as pain. Because, yes, it's painful that you lost them, but you feel the pain because of who they were, how amazing they were, how wonderful they were. You begin telling stories instead of only crying. You smile unexpectedly. You remember birthdays with tenderness. You notice their influence in who you've become. The grief doesn't disappear, but it changes shape. Love remains. And because love remains, grief transforms rather than ends. Guided embodiment practice. You can replay this at any time. This is around the 18-minute mark. Guided embodiment practice. If you're able, I'd like to guide you through a brief practice. Take a comfortable breath, just a normal inhale, exhale, what's comfortable for you. Notice your feet touching the ground. Feel the support beneath you. Place one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly. Without changing anything, ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? What are you feeling right now? Don't search for the right answer, simply notice. So whatever you're feeling, happiness, sadness, anger, stress, grief, whatever you're feeling, just ask, what am I feeling right now? And simply notice that. Now ask, where do I feel it in my body? Are you feeling it in your stomach, your chest, your legs, your back? Where are you feeling it? And ask yourself, is that feeling heavy? Is it warm? Is it cold? Is it tight? Is it empty? Allow yourself to stay with that sensation. You don't need to fix it. No, you don't need to understand it. We intellectualize everything. Simply witness it. Just be a witness to it. Now gently say to yourself, I am safe enough to be present with this moment. Take another slow breath. As you exhale, allow your shoulders to soften. Notice if anything shifts, even slightly. You know how you feel, how that body part feels, where you feel the feelings. Maybe nothing changes, and that's okay. Healing isn't measured by dramatic breakthroughs. That isn't how healing works. It's often measured by tiny moments of presence. Just tiny moments of presence. That's what this is about. Just little steps along the way. You know, when we think of healing, we think, phew, gotta just do this and it's gonna be okay. And it's not. One session will never, ever be enough to heal. There are layers beneath the surface. You cannot heal quickly. It is a slow, gradual process. I tell clients if you're interested in one session, thinking it's going to heal, let's not waste your money. Let's not even get started. Find other ways. Do some of the free stuff. You know, there's stuff on YouTube. There's other ways to do it. But one session will never do it. It's a journey. Healing is a journey. I'm going to close this out. If there's one thing I hope you take away from today's episode, it's this. Your grief is not a problem to solve. It is an expansion and an expression of love. And your body is not working against you. It's trying to help you survive something incredibly difficult. The more compassion you offer your body, the more space healing has to unfold. Healing doesn't happen because you stop grieving. Healing happens because you learn to stay connected to yourself while grief changes over time. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. If this episode resonated with you, I invite you to share it with someone who may be walking through grief right now. And remember, you don't have to have all of the answers. None of us ever will. You don't have to be okay every day. Some days you'll laugh, some days you'll cry. Many years later, you could be like, oh, I'm doing good, and then you could just have a cry. It's all part of the process. You simply have to keep coming back to yourself, one breath at a time. And remember that, one breath at a time. And so until next time, take gentle care of yourself. Thank you for listening. Have a great day, and I will see you in the next episode.